I still remember the sound of the metal buckle hitting the floor. It wasn't a heavy sound. It was light, almost hollow, like the very thing I had sacrificed my sanity to obtain. I was sitting on the edge of my bed at 3 in the morning, staring at a designer belt that cost more than my car payment. My heart wasn't racing with pride. It was drumming with a sickening primal terror. I looked at my bank account app on my phone, and the numbers were bleeding red. I had swiped a credit card I knew I couldn't pay off, convincing myself that if I just walked into that boardroom wearing the right brand, I would finally be the person I was pretending to be. I was drowning, and I had spent my last breath buying a heavy metal anchor to wear around my waist. I wanted to scream, but the house was silent. I was a man living a life designed by people who didn't even know I existed, trading my future for a logo that would be out of style by next season. Maybe you're listening to this while you're stuck in traffic, watching the brake lights of the car in front of you, feeling that familiar knot of anxiety in your stomach. Maybe you're doing the dishes, exhausted from a shift where you felt invisible, and you find yourself scrolling through your phone looking at people who seem to have everything figured out. You see the labels, the bags, the cars, the lifestyle that screams for attention, and you wonder why your life feels like a constant uphill battle. You're not alone in that feeling. I know exactly how heavy that exhaustion is. I spent years in that same loop, trying to buy my way into a feeling of belonging, only to find that the price of admission was my own freedom. We are all living in a system that doesn't just sell us products, it sells us a specific kind of status anxiety, and it is weaponizing your need for respect against your own wallet. Think back to the last time you bought something that you knew was expensive, something that had a giant logo stamped across the front. Why did you buy it? Was it for the quality, or was it because you wanted the world to see just for a moment that you were someone who mattered? We like to think we're rational creatures, but underneath, we are still playing out ancient survival games. In the wild, a peacock with a massive, brightly colored tail isn't showing off because it's efficient. It's showing off because it's a costly signal. It's a way of saying, I have so much energy to spare, I can afford to waste it on something completely useless. We do the exact same thing with our clothes. When we stretch our budget to buy a shirt with a monogram, we are performing an act of psychological camouflage. We are paying for an insurance policy against the judgment of the world, hoping that if we wear the right symbol, people will stop looking past us and start treating us with the respect we crave. But here is the irony that keeps the matrix running. Look at the people who actually have the wealth we're all chasing. Look at the true elite. Do they walk around with giant gleaming gold buckles and massive monograms? They do not. They are doing the exact opposite. They are paying a premium to hide their wealth. They are the ones wearing the cashmere sweaters that cost as much as a used car but don't have a single visible mark on them. They are playing a different game, a quiet game, where the signal isn't a billboard on your chest, it is the quality of the fabric, the cut of the suit, the details that only people in their specific tax bracket would ever recognize. Meanwhile, the giant conglomerates that own these houses know exactly what they're doing. They are counting on your insecurity. They have created a tiered structure where they feed you the entry-level scraps, the plastic sunglasses, the canvas pouches, the t-shirts, and they plaster them with the largest, loudest logos they can possibly print. They are pricing these items at that perfect, dangerous sweet spot, expensive enough to feel exclusive, but cheap enough that you can still justify it if you decide not to pay your rent on time. They are turning the middle and lower classes into a giant, unpaid marketing team, and you're the one paying the privilege of being their billboard. And it goes deeper than just corporate greed. It taps into something much rawer, something we call compensatory consumption. When your job feels meaningless, when your rent is a constant weight on your shoulders, and when you feel like you're never going to get ahead, your brain feels small. It craves a hit of power. It needs to feel like it has value, right now, today. Earning a real promotion takes years of grueling, invisible discipline. Paying off debt is a long, boring, and thankless process. There is no instant gratification in building an emergency fund, but walking into a store and buying that item with the logo, that's an immediate, explosive hit of dopamine.
For 5 minutes, you're not the person struggling to make ends meet. You're the person who wears the brand. You're the person who belongs. It's a psychological band-aid for a wound that isn't actually on your body. But like any band-aid, it loses its stickiness, and when it falls off, the wound is still there, and now your bank account is empty too. I remember standing in my living room the night I threw that belt in the trash, and I realized I had been lied to. I had been told that status was something you wear. I had been told that if you just kept running, if you just kept buying, eventually you would reach a point where you felt safe. But there is no finish line in that race. The goalposts keep moving, and the corporations are the ones holding the leash. I was exhausted. I was tired of being a pawn in someone else's marketing campaign. I realized that the silence I was so afraid of, the quiet of not having a brand name to lean on, was actually where my real life was waiting for me. I had to learn how to validate myself from the inside, because the moment you stop needing the approval of strangers, you stop being a customer and you start being a person. The change didn't happen overnight. It started with a question I began to ask myself every time I felt the urge to swipe that card. I would hold the item, look at it, and ask, what pain am I trying to soothe right now? Am I buying this because I love it, or am I buying this because I'm afraid someone will see who I really am without it? The answer was almost always fear. So I started redirecting that energy. Instead of funding the lifestyle of a CEO in Paris, I started funding my own freedom. I started a new kind of flex. I stopped flexing with logos and started flexing with my net worth. I started treating my savings account like the most exclusive brand in the world. Nobody can see it, nobody can judge it, and it doesn't give you a temporary hit of dopamine, but it gives you something much better. It gives you the quiet confidence of knowing that if your car breaks down, if you lose your job, or if the world turns upside down, you're going to be okay. That is a kind of status that no designer label can ever provide. You have to change the way you look at the rooms you walk into. Look past the noise. The person who is constantly bragging, interrupting, and wearing the loudest brands, that is often the person carrying the highest amount of debt and the lowest amount of real security. Don't be intimidated by them. Model your life after the people who are quiet, who focus on the quality of their output, and who don't feel the need to broadcast their achievements. Build high-value skills that speak for themselves. Let your competence be your signal. Because in this professional world, a reputation for reliability and deep expertise is a currency that never devalues. When you stop chasing the shallow signs of status, you start noticing the people who are actually playing a deeper game. You start building relationships with people who care about your character, not your credit limit. If you're a creator or if you're trying to build something of your own, use this insight. Don't sell people temporary loud badges. Sell them deep, long-term trust. Help them feel like they are part of a club that doesn't need to shout to be recognized. We're living in an incredibly loud world right now, and everyone is fighting a hidden battle to feel seen. But you don't have to participate in their games. You don't need a billboard on your chest to prove your value to a society that is just trying to empty your pockets. Take a deep breath. Look at the things you have bought, the debt you are carrying, and ask yourself if you're ready to stop playing someone else's game. True wealth is silent. It is the peace of mind that comes when you stop trying to impress people you don't even like. It is the freedom to wake up in the morning and know that your life is yours, not theirs. It is not about what you wear. It is about what you are building when no one is watching. You have so much potential, and it is being wasted on these temporary, hollow things. It is time to stop the bleeding. It is time to start building your own silent empire. The people who matter will see you not for what you carry, but for who you are. And the ones who only care about the logo, let them go. You are not missing out on anything except the chance to stay poor. Take back your power, take back your money, and most importantly, take back your life.